Hi, and welcome to New God Sunday School. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics. I Am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee, and Jack Kirby's Star Warriors, The Adventures of Adam Star and the Solar Legion. You can find order links to all three of these books in the show notes below. So this is a very special episode of New God Sunday School. I'm a huge fan of, the entire series, but this one's extra special because this is a lost New God story that has gone unpublished for decades until this volume here. This is volume 2 of the absolute Jack Kirby's Fourth World that DC put out. It's this huge, oversized edition and comes in this really nice slipcase that is designed to look like a mother box. And I was asked to write the introduction to this book. It was a real thrill to be able to, talk about Jack Kirby's comics and the comics that appear in this volume and how much they mean to me and, what I get from them, what my interpretations of them. But even more so, I was excited when the editor of this project told me that for the first time they were going to include the Jack Kirby's story On the Road to Armageddon, the lost New Gods issue in its entirety here, recolored. So I could not wait for this to come out. And so finally, I got to have a nice version of this, great Jack Kirby story that for some reason, DC had been sitting on for decades. It's tremendous. It's phenomenal. I put it up there with the great New Gods issues, the great Mr. Miracle issues, the great Forever People issues. But, for various reasons, which I'll explain on another video, it went unused. And the art and the pages from it were repurposed inside the Hunger Dogs. They were shown out of order. Some of the verbiage was rewritten. Some of the panels were re-inked and redrawn. So, but this is it. And it's a stunner. So let's get started. There it is, Forward by Tom Scioli, an epic for our times. This work invites study and rewards it. It's full of little bits that resonate with meaning. The ghetto was central to Kirby's experience. He told Will Eisner, "I wanted to break out." So yeah, we're really happy to do that. And so this is basically the second half of the Fourth World Colossus. So you get this, really nice oversized edition. And then you get Even Gods Must Die. And you get The Hunger Dogs. And then, the special treat, On the Road to Armageddon. New Gods and all its ancillary titles were ended back in the 70s. And then in the 80s, the new regime at DC Comics wanted to bring them back, to reprint them, and to have Jack do a final issue, create an ending to this unfinished symphony. And so they thought he'd be able to do it in, the 24 pages or so that this story is. And so he created an amazing New God story, an amazing new chapter in the series, is as good as anything Kirby's ever done, but it didn't end the New Gods story. So they said, they gave him more pages, more time, and eventually what we got was Even Gods Must Die and The Hunger Dogs. But this was the first thing Jack Kirby turned in. And to me, it's the strongest of those three things. It's the strongest of those three books, and it's the only one that went unpublished until 2020, I think, is when this book came out. I recently did Jack Kirby's Star Warriors, The Adventures of Adam Star and the Solar Legion, where I remixed an old Kirby comic. Now this, I would love it if, DC just put out like a really deluxe, nice comic book format version of just this story. That would just be amazing to me. And I'd be happy to work on it if that's something that we're interested in doing. But this deserves that same kind of special treatment, that same kind of format. But until then, you can get this volume. And I think it's worth it. I think it's more than worth it, even just for this one piece of the Jack Kirby puzzle. Listen for the sounds of these days. The gods conceal them beneath the raucous din of the frantic arts. Fasten yourself to the visions of these times, cast not by ourselves, but only those of the gods. I rather expected an experimental animal. You've got one. Get on with it, Metron's mimic. So, just a really strong intro. This is just sort of amazing Kirby tech and, Kirby villain knight, futuristic soldiers, this mysterious figure in the foreground who's referred to as Metron's mimic. And then this, poor guy, this peasant, bound and gagged, for God knows what purpose. Metron's torch, the flame of his creativity. I represent it in his absence and keep it alive. There, it's done. I see nothing. There was something imprinted on the subject's chest by a micro mark upon this instrument. You may release him now. Release him? Release him? Witless fool, prankster, you'll pay for this charade. You've done nothing here, and less for Darkseid. Horseplay on Apocalypse can be downright lethal, master scam artist. As for you, beggar, be gone. My chest, it's on fire. He runs outside, starts bursting into flames, and then explodes. A poor wretch suddenly dies on Apocalypse in great gouts of flame. He is destroyed by an invisible weapon, the mark of a new era in the seething nature of the new gods, on the road to Armageddon. And Armageddon, the prophesied location on Apocalypse of the last stand between Darkseid and Orion. And I'm assuming, Kirby being of the generation that he was part of, On the Road to Armageddon is a reference to all the Bing Crosby, Bob Hope On the Road movies. Behold, sire, behold the work of Metron's micro mark.
I hear it, the voice of a pygmy, too small for the eye to see.
And now we get this amazing double page splash, and we are really deep into Apocalypse on this issue. The entirety of this story takes place on Apocalypse. There's no New Genesis. There's no Earth. We're in enemy territory. This is Jack Kirby's Land of Evil, around 1984, 1985, thereabouts. So Jack Kirby has seen all three Star Wars movies. New Gods and Apocalypse was already Star Wars before Star Wars, but now Kirby's gotten to see his vision kind of confirmed and reinforced and fed back to him with some new wrinkles, and now he's folding that back into his. So this is all the other New Gods stuff was pre-Star Wars. This was post-Star Wars, and you can see a little bit of an amping up of the aesthetic. It exists among gods, even as it does among men. The slum and its inhabitants are a universal concept. On Apocalypse, the place called Armageddon shelters the lowlies and the strange whisper of a destiny yet unnamed. And so we have these Apocalypse peasants forced to roll out this red carpet for Darkseid to walk on through Armageddon. Don't drop that carpet! Move on, move on. Written and drawn by Jack Kirby. Letters and inks by Mike Royer. Colors by Drew Moore. Drew Moore did these sort of new colors for this edition. Did not the elder gods on the eve of their doom leave the warning of Armageddon behind them? Is not oblivion forever a dark red line which leads the mighty to the sewers of the contemptible silent? A lot of the writing in this is really kind of poetic and feels like, something out of an ancient epic written in some other language and translated many times. A lot of it reads like that. This is an epic for our time. And some of it I'm still puzzling. Some of it, I spend a little time with it and and meaning and things are revealed, and it's just really wonderful. And then some of it I'm not sure, and then some of it I'm not sure if it's a typo. This one in particular is not oblivion, forever a dark red line which leads the mighty to the sewers of the contemptible silent. I thought, is it supposed to be of the contemptibly silent? And then I thought maybe it's is not oblivion. It basically is not oblivion silent. Like, is it saying, is not oblivion forever a dark red line which leads the mighty to the sewers of the contemptible silent? I'm not sure, but I'm still completely on board. And we have, the Mike Royer inking, and better still, the Mike Royer lettering. I love the way everything's arranged here. I love Kirby's design. It's a tour de force. Just the themes are great. It's very profound. And he hasn't lost a step. What matter if the Holocaust is born on the wings of dragons or flowers as a notion? A small curiosity brought to the stage of tinkering. The home of the micromark. Enter, sire.
A proper home in the proper place.
So yeah, the micromark is like the big MacGuffin in this. And we'll get a look at what the micromark is and what it means. It must take form in an edifice, a monster's lair, a slaughter pit, or a placid, faceless structure of common block in Armageddon, always in Armageddon. I like how the district, the neighborhood of Armageddon is where everything goes down in the New Gods. It's not in the palaces of Apocalypse or New Genesis. It's in Armageddon. Like, to Jack Kirby, the ghetto is where the rubber meets the road. He grew up in the ghetto, and to his mind, this is where it all comes from. He saw guys from his neighborhood go on to be Hollywood stars and movers and shakers, and he himself, becoming one of the architects of modern pop culture. So, look how amazing that is. Then we get this great vertical panel. Where but in Armageddon do the powerful find flesh plentiful, vulnerable and fragmented by its own ignorance? Begone, return to your hovels. Seize a few for the new tests on Micromark. Yeah, they're kidnapping people to be experimented on. Apocalypse is Kirby's worst case scenario of society. Our immediate orders are to scatter this mob, then do it quickly. Well, what are you waiting for? You've seen what happened to the others. Suddenly, do what you will, this group won't be driven like cattle. We've gained a hidden ally. He is our answer. And the colors of his arm and his glove are kind of a clue as to who this ally is. Soiled rags, you'll... Back off, soldier. Orion, so you're the wolf among the sheep. Merely teaching them to be wolves, soldier. Is my grip too tight? So yeah, what a great reveal of the sort of hidden hero. And look at Mike Royer, going to town on a piece of dialogue, making it a logo in its own right. Well, we know that pain is part of the game, that death is meant for our kind too. I must show them all that. I shall build a spine for them from your ashes. For one bizarre moment, only the crackling violence of the inferno dominates the flaming night. This is an amazing sequence right here. Think about going from the beginning of the 70s when Jack Kirby was doing the original series to now we're, well into the 80s. So he's seen it all, and he's seen the rise of the anti-hero in cinema, all things he was sort of pioneering in his comics. His vision is fully reinforced. There's no questioning at this point, and Orion is a cosmic badass. Then spontaneously in one loud raucous voice, the dregs of Apocalypse shout their defiance of Darkseid. And look at the costumes on these guys. This sort of amazing cross between medieval costuming and Dickensian. Just really great. Look at these guys with their missing teeth. This guy, he's got 3 teeth left. This is great.
What is all that about, Major?
It's the rabble, sire. They're cheering. Silence them. Yes, sir. The ranks will take care of it.
Strange. I've never heard that motley pack sound off before.
Look at this is just amazing. Jack Kirby's sense of design is as strong as ever. Part of the reason he was given the opportunity to create an ending for New Gods was that Kenner wanted to make New Gods toys, what became the Superpowers line of toys, the toys I grew up with. And they hired Jack Kirby to do the toy designs. And the villains were going to be pulled from the New Gods characters and some of the heroes as well. And so this is one of the things that helped Jeanette Kahn be able to sort of, justify giving Jack Kirby a royalty on these toys being made, even though he was, he created this stuff before these royalty deals existed. She was able to grandfather him in exchange for, doing some extra work on the characters. So you can kind of see Jack Kirby thinking in terms of toys also as he's designing this stuff, really coming up with just really fun shapes. If Great Darkside is interested, I've developed some fine devices for unlimited crowd control.
By the dark infinite, is there no end to the casual arrogance of your wonders? Multiply this crowd control concept on a cosmic scale, and you've ripped off the anti-life equation.
So there it is, the anti-life equation, the thing Darkseid was looking for all through, the old comics in the 70s. He's still looking for it all the way here in the 80s. That is not inconceivable, sire. Behold the micromark.
Ah, the fearsome pygmy. See how he sneers when he is magnified.
This is really cool. I love this stuff. We're looking at a blow-up of the circuitry. This is the micromark, referencing the mark of the beast. It's this circuitry that if you get imprinted with it, you explode. It looks like this, crazy-looking skull. In Superpowers, I did a version of this, but made it look like Brainiac, the 80s toy version of Brainiac.
Yet he shall labor for Darkseid with the swiftness and ease of his notable insensitivity. What could he not do were this tiny demon joined to millions of his brothers?
He would achieve visibility. Micromark could destroy a continent.
Incredible. Yes. Still a pygmy, but with staggering potential.
A new age is dawning, sire, and Micromark is its herald.
Drooling infant, a new age is precisely the time to settle old scores.
A new age, settle old scores. I really like what's going on in the writing here.
Don't toy with old tigers and old hates.
You forget, sire, my aim is to attain the oldest of your desires.
Clever little fellow. Tell me, if this pygmy can destroy a continent.
Then in this form, sire, he can smash a world. So we basically have this sort of suitcase bomb, but a suitcase bomb that can destroy an entire planet. And, Apocalypse, Darkseid's world is a sort of cosmic terrorist state. Thus I present him, light, compact, and inexpensive to assemble.
I sensed him.
Spoff, phase in.
Hyman.
Greetings, Darkseid, as you've witnessed my phasing circuit still function in top form.
You're still alive. Dance, Hyman. Phase in and out like a dancing flea. But in this new era, look for the shadow of my descending fist.
And so Hyman, we saw him in, Mr. Miracle #9, titled Hyman. He was the guy who taught Mr. Miracle everything he knows, and he was this sort of unkillable wizard, this sort of old Jedi Knight who, lived on Apocalypse right under Darkseid's nose, sabotaging, Darkseid's plans and fostering a rebellion. That's why I came for this device. You know it can destroy Apocalypse as easily as New Genesis.
You could never do that, Hyman. Apocalypse is your home. After all, I've pursued you to every corner of it. Old age is snapping at our heels, reaching for the hunter and the hunted. Perhaps I shall
touching. So yeah, this is an aging Darkseid. Jack Kirby is 10 years older than he was, the last time he worked on this stuff. Feeling old age, feeling mortality, feeling the world sort of passing him by, maybe.
I suppose it is, in a way. The early vendettas, the fiery passions, brutality, and wailing, endless, ever endless.
So it was, and so it remains, Darkseid. Power devils and the survivors of their madness are forever locked in such grotesque relationships. What kind of moment will it be when I'm forced to sever ours and arm this monster?
Don't reject my beliefs, Hyman. I claim the cosmos. Let my omnipotence give you eternal shelter.
Just as this little mystery guy, Metron's mimic, is about to strike Hyman, he disappears, he phases back out. Just really amazing scenes.
Time has made me obvious, Hyman more canny. And as for your clumsy, amateurish kind.
He was gone before I could strike, sire. But Hyman's daring was merely wasted effort. See how easily I can reverse this situation. I have a device which can neutralize the stolen bomb. You can triumph over Hyman by remote control. The poor shabby old relic uses unchanged wizardry made obsolete by simple toys. He plays at games your peers can no longer win. Hyman's phasing circuits are so crude they leave tracks any adolescent can follow. His day is over, great Darkseid. Regard him as a pitiful, harmless object. This is Micromark's hour. There's no need for intrigue or great strivings. The cosmos lies open to button-pushing babes. And you see Darkseid kind of do a little double take here and get kind of get a little bit sad and morose over this idea that time has passed Hyman by, but it's sort of passing him by as well. He's becoming old age is making Darkseid. Old age and the approach of computers, electronics, the age of the home computer is making Darkseid feel more obsolete than ever, more irrelevant. There, I press a button. Micromark pursues Hyman's tracks to Slum Area 4. This is a really cool sequence too. We're seeing like a first-person point of view. As this camera or drone or whatever. I guess it's the view of Micromark. Micromark, this microscopic circuit can make a guy explode, but it can also be a sort of microscopic drone that can fly around and report back. We move in. I mean, think about Jack Kirby. He's writing this story about old man Darkseid becoming irrelevant, and he's creating stuff that's we're still just catching up to. We move in, we halt at a miserable hovel guarded by its wary dwellers. They see neither Micromark nor us, sire. We go on to dismal secret places. Look at this going into this manhole. You've been foolish, father. That infernal thing can be duplicated by its creator. Orion will take care of its creator. We found him, great Darkseid. Father, it's disintegrating. And then this guy laughs away, and we get the reveal of what he looks like. It was sheer side-splitting entertainment to watch their expressions as a horrible doomsday mechanism was suddenly reduced to inoffensive garbage. Have I not outdone Metron, sire? Have I not turned his awesome talent into child's play? I've conquered the impossible, sire, for the price of a small coin.
No, Isaac, you paid a higher price than that.
So here's the reveal that this, sort of mutant is what Isaac grew up to be. Isaac, the little boy who would travel with Metron, across the universe, and who, persuaded Highfather to take mercy on the Forever People. The sort of youngest of the new gods. This innocent baby has grown up into this, and maybe that's Kirby's expression of, disappointment with the baby boom generation or something, with the sort of the young people of the 60s and what they became in the 80s.
Faces like yours are not bred on New Genesis, yet that is your home. You scoff at old men and laugh too loudly. Yet you really respect us and cry when you bow that ugly head. Well, you seem to have lost Metron and chosen Darkseid. I'll take what I need of you, Isaac, and then give what Highfather would deny you, the strength to kill yourself.
So that's why Isaac is working for Darkseid, why he's bringing, continuing Metron's scientific projects for Darkseid, because Darkseid would actually give him a mechanism by which to kill himself. It's not easy to kill a god. Sire, come with me, quickly. Orion, sire, need I say more?
Explain it all to Isaac after I leave.
So Darkseid's getting in his Blofeld sled to sort of, skedaddle out of there.
Old men in their outmoded ways may be grist for your mill, my boy. It shall be interesting to note how your toys fare against livid, total rage.
So Darkseid sort of smiles and scoffs as he speeds away. And bam, this echoes what we saw in the final issue of Mr. Miracle, where you see Orion's destruction, his path of destruction before you actually see him. And then you see his fist digging into this guy's face, this sort of troll's face, messing it up even more. Get this beautiful full bleed splash page of Orion just leading the charge, creating total havoc within Darkseid's fortress. No! I'm telling you, can you believe that DC was sitting on this comic for all those decades and didn't, all the like stupid bullshit they've released over the years and various things they've sort of reprinted and highlighted, and this like Jack Kirby gem, it's only coming out now. I mean, better late than never, but I just, all those years when they were sitting on this, I was kind of like, when are they, I can't believe they're still sitting on that. If I were in charge of DC, that would be my first order of business, to get this thing out there. Stop it. You can wreck my machines, but you cannot hold back a new age. True enough, foolish one, whether it be by flesh or machine, a new age shall be born. So be it, O worshipper of physical might, the flesh against machine. So he puts on this mask and he's turning on some kind of poisonous gas. I guess the sort of crowd control measure he was talking about. Croft. Sid and Marty, Croft. If you can't breathe, you can't fight. Your lungs have nothing to draw upon. It was easy, so easy. For what is power now but cheap techno-plumbing and an aging, quaking Darkseid? Oh, great source, why did you rob me of the early magic and the solidity of Metron's presence? Why do you bring change and adversity and forms unfit to behold? He used to, travel the universe with Metron and see all its wonders. And he sort of, longs for that lost golden age. And then here's a flashback for the contrast to see, him as a child. Am I Isaac now? Am I the one filled with indescribable joy and the eerie structure of the cosmos? A younger Isaac was chosen to ride in the famed Mobius chair, which made victims of time and entered doorways closed to lesser vehicles. This surpasses many a wonder you've shown me, Metron. It's quite unusual, isn't it? Man, what a great, visual, great concept. I remember it as a large and splendorous galaxy fused solid by particles yet undiscovered. So a solid galaxy. Kirby, he just never stopped innovating. Then Metron was gone in a search for the ultimate object, it was said. On New Genesis, I was left in charge of his alternative quests, alone, unaided, and maturing. So he's, picking up where Metron left off, reading his notes and continuing his experiments. Amazingly, my work led me to the realm of the micromark. Revelation, revolution, then pain. So he somehow had this lab accident that, made him, damn that foul, unexpected blow-up, the trauma, the irreversible change, the face and heart of a cruel stranger. So yeah, this accident from an experiment gone wrong led to him looking the way he looks now. Where is the machine that will erase my inner wound and restore all that was? And yeah, we get this great first-person shooter, viewpoint. The POV in this issue is just really amazing. You'll find out now, Isak. You, but how? Whining fool, flesh and machines leave survivors. Total destruction is my domain. Bam, bam. And so then we have this blurb that is like a preview for the Hunger Dogs. But I think originally this issue was meant to be, the finale, a standalone. And then I think at some point they decided, okay, Jack, we'll let you do a, longer sort of follow-up to this to like really finish it. And so they added this blurb here, inked again by Mike Royer. You can't kill them all, folks. The Hunger Dogs will do their thing when Orion leads them. Watch for the greatest graphic novel of the decade. And there's still more. There's still 2 more pages. So I don't know if maybe this complete page was done after these were completed. So maybe you get aiming, and then the aftermath of the fire. Or maybe this splash always was here, and then they just kind of added this when they decided to make it segue into the Hunger Dogs. And then they ended up just sort of creating a new story to segue into the Hunger Dogs, and then they just incorporated most of the pages from this, or all of the pages from this, into the Hunger Dogs, just in a different order with some rewrites and some redrawing, and kind of robbing it of its context. So a lot of these sequences are kind of non sequiturs or nonsensical within like the larger Hunger Dogs book, where here, when you read them in their original context, it's amazing. The ultimate anger is the ultimate stimulus. It defies time. It stands firm against the hammers of change. It mocks life and defies death. It's a monster sprung from birth. Where but on Apocalypse could it be finally exorcised? I've come home, Isak, to fulfill my destiny. Am I dying, Orion? Yes, Isak. You came here to die, didn't you? I suppose I did, but I thought I belonged here. No, this is my environment, not yours. Had you stayed on New Genesis, this would never have happened. My face, I understand your torture and pain. Orion's not happy with his own face either, so there's some mirroring of the hero here. Cynicism can lead one astray, Isak, but we never really change. Don't you see, to the very end we remain what the source has made us. O great source, show kindness in his passing. Judge him as he was, and not as he became. See him not as a bitter pawn surprised in fatal defeat, but only as a child fallen upon cruel days. And then Orion witnesses a miracle of the source. The source has restored Isak to, what he would have looked like had that accident never happened. The same way Mother Box can sort of temporarily mask, Orion's true face. Thus, when gods pause in their conflicts, they stumble briefly upon mysteries, startling in nature. As the final battle races to ignite the cosmos, will it also define it? So that's the end of this story. Again, an amazing standalone story. Didn't deliver the sort of slam bang finish that was sort of promised in New Gods. But again, like Kirby was not one issue away from finishing the New Gods. He had many issues to go, so he just did not find himself able to sort of wrap it up in one 24, 26 page issue. And the way Kirby wrote, he wrote very much like from the gut, and very much maybe he'd go in with some kind of plan, but then he would sort of improvise and just let the story unfold in a very natural way. He couldn't be contrived. Like when he tried to contrive a narrative, you could tell it never quite worked. But this is Jack Kirby doing his thing and making a really amazing story. And I really think when he started this issue, when he started this story, I think he intended Orion to sort of track down Darkseid and have the big final confrontation with him and one of them come out the victor. But I think just when Kirby's telling the story, just honestly, the way he saw it is that, Darkseid, being who he is, wouldn't let Orion anywhere near him, and so he sort of slips out. We're waiting for this big confrontation between the two, and Darkseid gets the hell out of Dodge, and then sort of the young the sort of younger generation of Apocalypse and New Genesis are forced to kind of deal with the fallout, and I really like this ending. It's just really beautiful and sad, and an amazing comic. Another feather in Jack Kirby's cap. I'm so glad that it's finally seen the light of day. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics. I Am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee. And Jack Kirby's Star Warriors, The Adventures of Adam Star and the Solar Legion. There are order links in the show notes below for all three of these books. I'll see you next time for New God Sunday School.